and please, leave the how you found it. Back to the task at hand. We're damn close. I won't lie. We're damn close. What we do these next few days is not only going to define, what happens in the next few states, but we're choosing to define the next 8 years of American life. Right now, tonight, over 1 million people we see on the streets, 6,000 veterans on the streets right now. We're fighting for a system that says those people deserve homes. Right now, we're fighting for a system in which we say the cost of living is too damn high. Really, too damn high. System that makes sure that, whether you're a young child in this country or a young child overseas, we're fighting for you because we're fighting for a greener, more stable planet. Right? So I'll ask you, what are you going to do the next few days to make it happen here in Nevada? What are you going to do? What? There we go. We're going to knock every damn door. We're going to knock every damn door. You know why we're going to knock every damn door, guys? Because we're fighting for the people. Right? Please. Yes, not me. Not me.
Sanders watch party. It's a room essentially of Bernie Sanders organizers, staffers, people who've been canvassing, phone banking, text banking. You can hear their cheers and chants.
Nomination. And then who's going to beat Trump? Okay, with that said, come tomorrow to the Ron House.
And again, they're talking about more organizing that they're going to be doing. There are plans in the air. It's a really exciting kind of environment. We're here actually at a taco restaurant, a vegan taco restaurant. And I would say the beer has been flowing for some of these folks. They're definitely pumped up. We actually visited, Jamal is behind the camera. We visited today a canvassing office for UNLV. They had their canvass launch with Senator Nina Turner, Amy Villela, who's a Justice Democrat, and also this was a really good one, is Dr. Margaret Dooley, and Victoria Dooley, excuse me. We have that interview coming very, very soon. She's so fantastic. I have to tell you, the passion in her voice and her tone was just, hold on. Sorry. All right. You're good. The passion in her tone was just so enthusiastic. She actually talked about Flint. She talked about her work, her personal life. So you guys will really love that interview. The enthusiasm with those canvassers was over the top. I'm feeling the energy here in Nevada for sure. We're going to grab some people on their way out, see if they want to interview. Jordan's going to be, if I'm looking at my phone, as Jordan always says, I'm not ignoring you guys. It's because I am looking to make sure that I'm up with the latest news and things like that. And actually, guys, I want you to feel really, really sorry for Jordan right now. You may have noticed that I am not, in fact, Jordan. I am not Jordan. I know, everyone make a sad face. It's me, it's Jenn Dyes, reporting for Status Coup. I'm the president and co-founder of Status Coup. You guys have probably seen me on the channel. Jordan has actually got sick, and so his doctor advised him to not travel right now. Oh, we're gonna have loud music. His doctor advised him to not travel right now, so we decided, hey, Nevada is too important. We can't miss this. We have got to go. We've heard of some shenanigans on the ground already with this supposed tool versus app. And yeah, we're gonna talk to some more sources and see what's going on with that. We're gonna interview people. You can see people are dancing, they're getting pumped up, the music is flowing. There was a band here before this debate watch party started. So, how did you guys like the debates? There were some pretty spicy moments for sure. Bloomberg, so on this channel, let's rewind a little bit. On this channel last week, Bloomberg, we talked about the fact that he qualified only because the Democratic Party changed the rules so that he could qualify. They changed the donor requirement, and Bloomberg happened to meet the polling requirement because of, he's a billionaire. He was able to pour tons and tons of money into the race. So he's polling pretty well. But that might all end tonight. So before this debate, we said, once Bloomberg gets up on that stage, he doesn't have any charisma. He doesn't really have it. He's not, we don't want to give any kudos to Donald Trump, but he's not a Donald Trump. Donald Trump can be at least entertaining to watch. I mean, he's a fascist and he's terrible, but he's entertaining. Then we have Bloomberg, not entertaining, a billionaire. In many ways, not a guy that a lot of Democrats would actually vote for against Trump. I would have a heck of a hard time voting for Bloomberg. Let's just say that. And tonight, his debate performance proved that that's the case. I was talking to Jordan right before this, and he said, I think this is going to tank Bloomberg by 10 to 15 points in the polls, this debate performance. And as we saw in New Hampshire, debates can have a real impact. I actually said to Jordan, well, you know what? A lot of people don't watch the debates. I'm really worried still that this won't affect Bloomberg. I'm afraid he'll keep rising because of his money. He can pour as much money into this as he wants to. Jordan's like, no, this was really, really, really bad. And one of the reasons is because he doesn't really feel sorry for or back down or admit that stop and frisk was wrong. He just says it doesn't work, or it didn't work, that its effects weren't good enough. He's not going to allow the women who are under an NDA for his sexism, sexual harassment to do with him and his company. He's not going to release them from their NDAs. That, to me, is just so stomach-turning. I cannot even put it into words. Like, I'm actually shaking when I think about that, because what other reason would you have to not release these women, these sexually harassed women, from their NDAs, if not because you're just a really terrible guy, a terrible bleeping guy, because I can't cuss on this network. So, pan around, show you what's going on. A lot of people are just so super excited. We'll start grabbing people. Do you want to come on? Hi. What's your name?
Via Reynolds.
And what do you do for the Bernie campaign or for Bernie?
I am the precinct captain for our local precinct.
Oh, very interesting. So we've been talking to some precinct captains, precinct chairs, and a lot of them are very, very worried and concerned about this so-called tool, that this will become another Iowa debacle. What are your thoughts on that?
I actually feel differently. I feel like the Bernie camp has trained us really well on the math. We have a lot of observers. We have a lot of people coming in from out of the country. There's people here from Canada, Britain, other states, Colorado, who have come to just be observers to make sure that the math is being done right, that nothing is being overly complicated, and also they've been teaching us how to do the correct math so that when we sign off on it and we check it with the precinct chairs, it's correct. Because in Iowa, one of the things was when they realized that some of the math was off, they couldn't go back on it because someone had already signed for it. So then it couldn't be changed. So they've been doing really well on training us, and I feel confident going in that things are going to run smoothly for us.
One of the things that people were upset about was when the state party comms person said that they're not really telling people whose early votes didn't count, whose early votes were invalidated, that they weren't telling people that that happened, but that they were, and there was some confusion here, they were perhaps then sending those names over to the campaigns. Have you heard about that, the early voting?
I did hear about you had to have 3 choices, and if there was only 1 choice, then it would get invalidated. But as soon as the Bernie camp heard about it, we were on social media. We were knocking on doors with a sample ballot on the back of our clipboards, letting people know who were going to go early vote, how to vote correctly. So I feel like we were on top of it as it was coming in. So hopefully that helped prevent some of those votes from being invalidated.
Do you think that with what happened in Iowa, that the Bernie campaign really took a look at that, and that's why they're so much more on top of things this time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was an eye-opener for us to be more prepared and more on the lookout. Obviously, what happened in 2016, people were already kind of, on, minding everything, making sure, and especially here in Nevada, we kind of feel like we're the new Iowa now because Iowa was such a debacle. It's a time for us to represent how to do it right and, give back democracy to the people.
I was actually reading an article, and they had interviewed Harry Reid, who I'm sure you're all too familiar with, but he seemed to want Nevada to become the new Iowa in the way that you guys could possibly be first in the nation. How do you think that would affect campaign or political seasons if that were the case, if you guys were first instead?
I feel like there'd be more of a spotlight here in Nevada, so it'd be good for the city, itself, Las Vegas and stuff, not just the whole state, but here in the city. We'd get more of the spotlight here, and it would bring more travelers here too, like Iowa. It's like a big deal. It's all over the press, so any press that we could get from that would be good. So I feel like it would be a good thing, although I personally feel like the whole caucus thing is outdated. I feel like it'd be better if people could just vote for who they want. It'd be straight away, because a lot of people don't even understand the delegate math. They think when they go in to vote at a precinct, their vote counts, and they don't realize that there's multipliers and decimals and splitting delegates and things like that. A lot of people who I went door knocking with had no idea the process or anything, so it had to be explained to them, this is how you do it.
Let's go back a little bit to something we already touched on. Can you shed any light on this tool, this non-app that's being preloaded onto iPads? What have you been trained on or told about it?
As far as the Bernie campaign, we haven't been trained on anything. That's with the NV Dems. But I heard that it was a calculator to help with the math, so I'm not quite sure what it is. I know that we are going to be being diligent with the math part, so I don't know how useful that tool is going to be for us or what it is, but they've kind of been keeping everything under wraps, so unless you're a precinct chair or someone working with the actual NV Dems, no one else has had access to the tool.
And speaking about the debate specifically, what are your takeaways? How did Bernie do? How did Bloomberg and friends do?
Oh, I feel like Bloomberg did pretty bad, but that's because everybody kind of gained up on him. I feel like Bernie killed it. He was on top of it. And actually, Amy Klobuchar surprised me because she finally got tired of being bullied and she came out against Pete, and I was happy for that. She finally was like, oh, I'm not going to take it. And that was one of the highlights for me, even though I'm not a big Amy fan, but that's what stood out of the debate was when Amy got Pete.
That actually surprised me. I was outside during that moment and everyone started cheering. I was like, a bunch of Bernie people cheering for Amy Klobuchar. What's happening?
I think it's because we've seen in past debates that people have targeted her and attacked her, and she's kind of been meek about it and maybe had like a little one-liner there, but she's never been so passionate as she was in that moment. And being a woman too, it was a little bit empowering for me anyway to see her kind of stand up for herself in that moment,
And you know what? That kind of reaction goes against this media narrative that's out there right now that Bernie bros and Bernie people are just so nasty and mean and rude. What do you say to the media and the people who perpetuate that?
Well, I actually just posted a meme on my Facebook yesterday about it. It's like, they call us Bernie bros because we're so passionate. I don't really feel it as like it's anger, it's more passion. And that's kind of what Amy exhibited in her response too. And the meme says there's people that are homeless, we have veterans on the streets, we have why aren't people getting more angry and being more passionate? It's like, I don't mind being called a Bernie bro because AOC is the biggest Bernie bro we have. I always say that. And she is unapologetic, she's angry, Bernie, she's out there, doing it, having her voice heard. And so if that's what it takes for us to be heard, I don't agree with like any violent behavior or anything like that. But as far as just being passionate about your point of view, sometimes people call me a Bernie bro just because it's a fact. If I'll say, well, what about this? And they're like, oh, well, you're being sexist or you're being this. And it's like, no, I'm just stating a fact, And so people just throw that out there. It's like, I'm a female. It used to be Bernie bros were just like the frat guys or whatever. Now it's like females are being called Bernie bros. It's gotten a little out of hand, and the media like fuels that. So I have a whole thing with the mass media and the whole Bernie movement, how they paint us out to be. But we're normal people. We're fighting for our kids. We're fighting for our parents, for our uncles, all these people in different situations. And that's why it's not me, us. We're fighting for everyone. Like here in Nevada, the Culinary Union is against Bernie because of the health care. And that's nice and great. Like you have your nice health care, but what about the people who don't? So I always think about the bigger angle and everyone that's involved, not just myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually interviewed some culinary workers today, and that was something that came up that, okay, you're fine, but what about your family? What about if you get kicked out of your job? What if you get fired? What if you want to change jobs? Then you're not okay. So Medicare for All is a huge issue, especially, Bernie supporters. There's someone right there is holding a Medicare for All sticker right next to us. So, yeah, any last thoughts you want to leave people before the caucus?
I'd like to just, if this is going out to anybody, it's live. I would just like to encourage people to be more educated on the candidates. Like, actually do your own research. Don't just go by what the mass media is telling you about each candidate. Go and research each candidate thoroughly. And I believe that if you do the work, you research the digital race, what it takes to beat Trump in the digital race, because that's how he won. The last election was through his app and everything. If you go back and do the research, not just because I'm telling you, you'll see that Bernie is the best candidate to beat Trump. He's the only one with his own proprietary app. There's still time for you to go out and knock on doors. If you already are a Bernie supporter, it's the best way to help right now. Go knock on some doors. We got 2 days. We can do it. Spread the word. Do your own research. That's all I got to say.
Absolutely great. Thank you so much for hopping on. Good stuff. Okay, Jamal's fixing something. Jamal. Oh. We're still talking. Okay, Jamal's fixing something. Okay, so Jordan's sending me some information. Blah, blah, blah.
Still on?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to? No. I just want to see your Facebook because I want to see what this is on.
Go to youtube.com/statuscoup. She asked where she can find this video. So youtube.com/statuscoup, which is where most of you guys are watching it. Some of you are watching us on Twitch. Some of you are watching us on Periscope. It's all good. Follow us everywhere. Our Twitter, twitter.com/statuscoup. Our Instagram @statuscoup. Follow us absolutely everywhere. And Jordan reminded me, smash that like button. Just smash it like crazy right now, because the more that you like this video, the more people will see this stream. YouTube has this weird algorithm thing where they won't show your stuff if no one's liking it. So smash it, smash it, smash it. It takes just a second. If you're on mobile, go ahead and close out the live chat quickly. You'll see the live or the like button appear. So hit that like button. Tell all your friends. Share this on your social media. Share it on your Twitter. Share it on your Facebook. Create some posts in your subreddits. Share it everywhere, because everyone needs to see this kind of enthusiasm is really infectious. It tells us a lot, I think, about what's going to happen heading into the caucus. We'll see. Also, join Status Quo as a member. We are out in the field because of you guys. So if you please join Status Quo for as low as $5 a month, we will be able to send Jordan to South Carolina, to California for Super Tuesday. And the fact that we here on the ground is the reason we're able to find out so much information. I am learning so much from so many people here on the ground. I have made a ton of connections here, gotten a ton of sources who are texting me things and sending me things, and it's wonderful because it's important that the truth gets out there about what's going on behind the scenes, what's going on with the Nevada Dems, what's going on with the other campaigns, the shady tactics that are going on. It's so important that we are here. So please, again, go to statuscoup.com/join. If you're already a member, then you can support us at paypal.me/statuscoup. We also still have our GoFundMe going. So all the support you can send us, every amount is very much appreciated. You want to come on? Hi, I'm Jen. What's your name?
I'm Ben. I'm from Canada.
Oh, hi, Ben. I love Canada. What part?
Alberta.
Alberta. I can hear hints of an accent. What'd you think about the debate?
I think Bernie did very well, and I think everyone went in on Bloomberg, which is a good thing when you buy your way onto the debate stage.
Yeah, and that's really what it was. He literally bought his way onto the debate stage. What do you think about Tom Perez and the Democrats who allowed that to happen?
I think Tom Perez is pandering to the centrists because he thinks they'll draw in more donations to line his pockets. I think that he messed up Iowa, even though that was technically the Iowa Democrats, but I think he had a hand in the way it was organized. I think he should...
Well, by the way, it came out that the DNC very much had a hand in the app that failed and in everything that went on behind the scenes, so you're totally right about that.
I think that he messed up in 2016. I think he's going to mess with 2020, and I think he should resign and give the seat to someone that will actually treat it the way it should be and not pander to their friends that will line their pockets.
I can't disagree with you there. What was your favorite kind of moment from the debate?
I think that even though Bernie's my candidate, I think Biden went in on Bloomberg really well the whole time because yeah, Biden going in on Bloomberg, definitely.
People seem to like it when others go in on Bloomberg. So let's talk about that. How do you think Bloomberg did overall?
I think he's going to lose support. Unless he could possibly play the narrative that he's the victim to everyone, but I think really everyone will see that he is the billionaire on the stage that bought his way there, and he's not working for the working class. He's working for himself. He was a Republican when he was mayor of New York. He is being an opportunist and running as a Democrat, and I hope people will see that.
How do you think that Warren did? A lot of people are, saying that the media narrative is going to be that Warren did really well, that she's probably going to get a bump, and it seems like she did do well. What do you think?
I think Warren did well, and I think it is going to be played that she did well because they want to play away from the fact that Bernie did better because the media doesn't want the further left candidate to win. They want to stay closer to center. You saw that happening with Biden, and then Biden started failing, so then the media shifted to Pete doing amazing, and now Pete's slipping in the polls, so now they're going to their next closest bet to someone close to center, which is Warren.
What about you? What's your role? Are you a Bernie volunteer, just a supporter? What do you do?
Definitely just a supporter. Since I'm from Canada, there's not a lot of opportunity to volunteer. I support where I can. I have a lot of friends from America. I worked to get them to go out and work and get their support.
What do you think about all of the supporters that we've seen here today, all of the volunteers that you've heard talking about what they're doing? How does that make you feel about the Bernie's chances or anyone's chances on caucus day?
I think that the Bernie camp is definitely the most passionate, the most diverse, and the most built out of the working class. I think specifically with Biden, Bloomberg, and Buttigieg, they are built up of baby boomers and rich people, so that want to pander to those people. So I think when you look around here at the Bernie camp, it is diverse, it is full of working class people that want things like Medicare for all, and I hope that bleeds through to people see that this is what America looks like, and America is not just rich old white men.
Amen. So being from Canada, you have a much better healthcare system than we do. So let's talk about that. How could Americans benefit from that? How have you benefited from that?
Well, specifically with myself, I have a lot of mental health problems, and I was in the hospital. And when I was in the hospital, I didn't have to worry at all about what a 6-day hospital stay was going to do for my health care. due to my family's bills, I worried about getting better. And my father is a paramedic. In Canada, you do ambulance rides are actually the one thing you do have to pay for. But even if you're just old, any form of disability, you don't have to pay for them. Of course, they should pick up and make it free for everyone. But it's such a better start than what they have here.
It definitely is. I have family that lives in Canada, and it's a world of difference. Absolutely. Any last thoughts you want to leave us with?
What? Sorry, I didn't.
Any last thoughts you want to leave us with?
Last thoughts, wherever you are, get out, primary for Bernie, caucus for Bernie, and no matter what, vote blue no matter who in 2020.
Very good. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Oh, looks like we have some more people want to come on. 1 second here. Let's see if we're getting this person. Yeah, so that we just had someone from Canada who has specific experience and has benefited from his healthcare system. He knows what it's about. Tina, 1 second. 1 second. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Do you want to come on?
I can come in, but I didn't hear the debate in here. It's like bad.
So howdy? Good. So we actually just met for the first time. We've known each other online for quite a while here. So Tina, that's right,
Correct. Yeah, yes.
So how do you think the debate went?
I saw so little of it in this noisy room and the sound was off, but I could get from the sound bites that Michael Bloomberg, or AKA Bloomer, was his typical douchebag self. Bernie was angry and mad and got back at him when he tried to get under his skin. And Pete is still trying to sell America on these milquetoast, centrist, pro-corporate policies that aren't going to work. So you only have to have several levels of sound bites to realize that Bernie is still owning the event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking a lot about the energy that's in this room tonight. You've been here the whole night, I think. What do you think? How do you feel?
Well, interestingly enough, when I first came in here, I ran into some folks that I'd met in Iowa that were here. So these are folks that live in Iowa City that had came here to help canvass in Vegas. And I asked him why he did it, and he said, I want to pay it forward. He said that he noticed when he was in Iowa, there were people from all over the country, people from Canada that came down to help them out. And so he figured, I have to do the same now. So he got on a plane and he flew.
It always happens.
Live event, folks. So flew down here. What was interesting, though, was he knew a little bit about that Precinct 80 event that I had been in, where they had, which we had last talked about, they had done the coin toss, even though it wasn't a tie. Turns out they got the delegate back. So it's no longer Pete's delegate. It went back to Bernie, which is where it should be. Hi there.
So this is actually kind of breaking news, right? So are you talking about the pledge delegate or SDE?
SDE. So what had happened in that night was, for reasons I don't know if this is sheer incompetence or there's something else going on. I would like to believe, because I have a good feeling about good-natured people. I don't think people try to be malicious. But for some reason, she had decided that she was going to do a coin toss in a situation where it wasn't a tie. So Bernie Sanders had 101 people. Pete had 66. This is not a tie. But she had determined from like the rounding up the delegate math that they do, that they were tied for delegates. And so this was a conversation about the last delegate. And so in her brain, she's like, I'm going to flip for the last delegate, even though the caucus rules basically say the last delegate goes to the person with the highest number of votes. So it was a completely wrong thing to do. I don't know, I don't know if that was malicious, but I will also say this, she made herself an alternative for Pete Buttigieg.
Right. So we've seen all of the shenanigans, the debacle of Iowa, the disaster of Iowa. Do you think something like that's going to happen here?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh no, we just had someone confident it wouldn't, so now you're saying, and that's what I've heard too. I think something bad's going to happen.
Yeah, look, I have been covering the DNC for an eternity, and it never ceases to amaze me how they can turn the back on the grassroots in their party. They try to serve two masters, Jen. Here's the problem. They want to serve their corporate masters, and they also want to serve their grassroots that gets things done for them. And I think those two things have been coming to a head now for at least 10 years. I think the Bernie Sanders campaign and everything that he talked about in 2016 sort of brought that to a head, and we're seeing that play out right now. I don't think the corporate side of the DNC is willing to let go. When I was at the DNC meeting in
Oh, well, I'm trying. I'll start.
It's crazy, right? So when I was at the DNC meeting in San Francisco, when they were talking about having a climate change debate, I think this is a prime example. After all the shenanigans that happened in the Rules Committee and everything else, it gets to a floor vote. The watered-down version gets to a floor vote. And the first person that gets up and speaks again having a climate change debate was Maria Cardona. She's a fossil fuel lobbyist. She gets up, first person to speak. And what does she say? We can't do it.
What a surprise. What a surprise.
No, I mean, but it's just frustrating for somebody. Look, if you believe in the Democratic Party in the sense that you believe the platform, like what they actually say they believe in, at some point you have to wonder, where is the disconnect?
It'll just be part of the show.
But, I mean, Jen, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, Jordan's been covering this stuff for forever. He's seen it too. And it just gets frustrating because a part of me, I'm torn between the fact that I have grown up in a leftist family. My family's from Sweden, so I've always been sort of a democratic socialist. And so Bernie, for me, is very real. When he talks about Medicare for all, when he talks about workers' rights, like in Sweden, every corporation has 2 worker people that sit on the board of directors. That's by law. So I grew up with this idea that that's normal. And I think America has... They've kind of become a caricature of themselves, and the corporatism is so bad at this point. It's untenable, it's unmoral. So you would think that the Democratic Party, a party that was forever saying that they're going to serve workers' rights, would understand that, and they would see this point as a point of revolution. Like, this is the time. But they're not seeing it. They're still tone deaf to this, and I don't understand it because of the great swath of people look behind us. Oh, sorry. But you know what I'm saying? There's definitely a movement in the country that wants to sweep change in, and they seem to not want to grasp it, and I don't understand why.
Well, that reminds me of a specific line that Pete had. And again, it was hard for us to see and hear because of the projection issues tonight. But he said something like, this is not an exact quote, but basically if you want a middle ground between a revolution and the status quo, then he's your guy. What do you think about that? That's pretty much my thought.
That's my gut reaction to that. There is no middle ground. So this brings me back to Bernie's speech at KDM, last June, what was that? Where he came out with a great no middle ground speech. No middle ground. No middle ground on taxes. No middle ground on healthcare. No middle ground on the military-industrial complex. No middle ground when it comes to fixing the criminal justice system. And the reason that speech is so iconic is for that reason alone. People are fed up. They don't want the middle ground anymore. It doesn't work.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about Bloomberg. What do you think? What do you think What do you think his chances are, though, after this debate? He was pretty much eviscerated, and he gave really bad answers.
Look, he never had a chance. I'm glad that he's wasting his billions of dollars on trying to buy our democracy, but it's not going to happen. I have literally spent the last week on Twitter trolling him with OK Bloomer memes. If anybody that follows me on Twitter, they'll be laughing at this because it's true. My favorite one was, so his campaign manager, what's his name, Kevin somebody or other? I've been trolling him too.
Yes, Kevin, it's escaping me.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So he came out with this whole idea like, I have this giant Oppo research thing on Bernie, and it's so bad it's going to kill Bernie's campaign. It's like, LOL.
Well, while the debate was going on, we were getting rapid-fire press emails from Bloomberg's campaign, and one of them was literally pictures of Bernie's houses. And, and it was just, I wish I could show the audience.
That was my laundry list of the Oppo research. Bernie has 3 houses. Bernie has a $900 parka jacket, and he lives in Vermont. And Bernie Bernie went to the USSR on his honeymoon. There it is, folks.
You just doxed Bernie.
It's ridiculous. Like what? So here's the problem. Guys like Michael Bloomberg, I call him Bloomer. They are so in their bubble. They are so far away from the rest of America. They don't even understand the problems. They live in this bubble. They don't talk to anybody outside of their bubble, and they only talk to each other. So when they hear his ideas about Medicare for all, they think that's like, right? They don't look at the polling data that shows 70% of Americans want Medicare for all. And that crosses party lines. So the divide isn't necessarily this, it's this. They need to like get out of their bubble and actually see, like when I was in Iowa, I would talk to, like, I don't want to name names because we're live, but I talked to like members of the mainstream media when I was in the press pen, and I couldn't believe how out of touch they were. These are folks that literally haven't bothered to have a communication with anybody outside of their elitist bubble in Washington, D.C. And then it's a big shock to them when they see these results. But that's only because they haven't been doing their jobs.
Absolutely. Well, that reminds me of the Chuck Todd clip we pulled a couple days ago, where he's like, Bernie's not turning out the youth, and someone had to correct him. I think it was her last name is Kumar, I believe. She corrected Todd.
Yeah, 100%. And also, what's his name? Matthew Hardball, Chris Matthews. I mean, his meltdown that he had about, like, I can't even discuss this without laughing. Like, really, we're going to, like, be chopping heads off in Red Square? Is that what you really think is going to happen? That's insane. Their brains are broken. Their brains are broken. They're so out of touch. And here's the thing: when you go back to even Eisenhower, the highest marginal tax rate when Eisenhower was president was 90%. 90%. We've seen this slow even under Reagan. The first 7 years of Reagan's term, it was 50%. They're so detached from reality. The plutocracy has done nothing but extract wealth for years, and they're shocked that America finally picked up their proverbial pitchforks, which is ridiculous to me.
Absolutely. Well, tell people where they can find you, watch your stuff.
Oh, so I do District 34, which is a podcast, an audio podcast. I just started doing some video stuff on Rockfin, which I don't know if you guys are on Rockfin yet. You should be. It's like a co-op for media creators. It's awesome. So, anyway. But it's
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. So good to see you. And we're going to see you again tomorrow. Of course. Do you want to come on?
Yeah, sure.
Hi, I'm Jen. What's your name?
Matthew Donovan.
Matthew. So nice to meet you. What did you think about the debate?
I was really surprised at how raw everyone was getting in the very beginning and throughout different parts of the debate. Yeah, I was really surprised that, for instance, Warren went straight for Bloomberg's jugular with like what might have been like a prepared point, but was still pretty brave and slightly risky. Yeah.
Yeah, there were some really go-getter moments from Warren tonight for sure.
Yeah.
And this audience seemed to enjoy that, especially when you're going against a Bloomberg. What did you think about Bloomberg's performance?
I don't know. I didn't really think too much about it. It's whatever. Yeah. I don't think there's much to say about him, so yeah.
Yeah, so you're discounting him. He's rising in the polls, but I've heard a lot of people saying, well, this is going to tank him now.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing well in the polls, but in the debate, he didn't do very well. He didn't have the data and the staff and the ads to really support him. He was all by himself, so by himself, there's not really much there, you know? So.
Well, and people are saying it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. So he had all this money to create these great advertisements. Well, great is a relative term. I actually would not say they're great. He had money to create some ads, and he got a wide spread. He has a huge staff working for him. In fact, local candidates are having a hard time hiring people in certain areas because Bloomberg's hired them all. So he has money, but he doesn't seem to have charisma, and so that wizard has been shown behind the curtain.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing like the first oligarchic president run, and we're seeing a lot of people that are undecided and maybe low information voters become swayed, really sticking it to the Biden and other moderate supporters base, really sweeping that up. But the danger does lie that a lot of those undecided voters will be part of Bernie's followers and supporters. He could end up taking from Bernie's base as well. When you see somebody rising in the polls by 15% over 1 month, it should be of concern to anyone that thinks that democracy should prevail and that basically the popular vote should be the main reason why people win. But what we're seeing right now is this new level of ad spend that no one can really compete with, and therefore puts democracy in question. So.
Yeah, and I think Bernie definitely agrees with that. People in this room seem to agree with that. What about you? What do you do? What's your role? Do you volunteer for the campaign? Do you work for the campaign? Are you just a supporter?
I can't comment on that. But I did found an organization called the Future Left, and we put out a progressive voters guide in LA, and we're hosting an event tomorrow here in Las Vegas with How to Dress Well and 2 special guests from people associated with the campaign. So.
What do you expect out of the caucus? A lot of people are concerned because of what we saw out of Iowa. Do you have any concerns about Nevada?
I have concerns about caucuses in general. I think that caucuses are a form of voter suppression, and when you see that over time people have pushed to both remove the caucuses and also the power of the superdelegates, we see that there's a major shift in the way that the people of the United States are viewing elections, and I think over time we'll see the caucuses go away, and we'll also see that we'll look back on this time and we'll see that it was a very troubled time for the people of Nevada and the people of Iowa and the 5 other states that still have caucuses.
I was actually, earlier I mentioned on this live stream that I had read quotes by Harry Reid saying that he essentially wants Nevada to be first in the nation. How do you think that would change the game?
I agree with Harry Reid's comment that we should have a state that represents the country a little bit more. You see in Nevada that we have, I think it's around 25% to 35% people of color in the state, and around 55 or so % people that are white, meaning that there's more of a mix. Whereas New Hampshire and Iowa do really well for people that have a very narrow demographic like Buttigieg and Klobuchar, but it doesn't represent the country. It sends the wrong message that white voters have the most say in the elections, and that's something that needs to go away. I don't think that Nevada as a caucus is the answer, and if Harry Reid is insinuating that, he should change his position on that and say that maybe Nevada should be the first in the country as a primary, not as a caucus.
Anything you want to leave the audience with? Any more thoughts?
Make sure to go canvass, phone bank, text, do everything you can for Bernie. We're running out of time. Donate if you can. We are going to look back on this time, and everyone that's done something for the campaign is going to feel really, they're going to feel the joy of winning and beating somebody like Donald Trump, beating someone like Michael Bloomberg, and you'll be a part of that. So do that right now or as soon as you can. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. It's great. Guys, we are getting some great people here. Smash that like button so more people see this in their feeds. That's how YouTube does things. The more people who smash that like button, the more people who see it. Become a member, please. Jordan is at home sick, guys. You have to feel so sorry for him. He's living off of chicken noodle soup. Anand has to nurse him back to health. So please become a member. Yeah, we aren't afraid to use pity here. Please pity us. Really, the truth is we want to be out in the field more reporting. We are on the ground in Nevada. Jamal and I are on the ground in Nevada because of you guys. We are here because of your support. We're here because those memberships skyrocketed when Jordan was in Iowa, when Jordan was in New Hampshire. Please keep joining. Just $5, as low as $5 a month. There are other membership options as well. Go to statuscoup.com/join. You get great behind the scenes content. I actually, this morning, let me tell you some behind the scenes as I what does Jordan say? Schwitz? I am schwitzing like crazy. That I woke up at 3:30 a.m. to hop on a flight, an early flight out of Baltimore. to get to Nevada, to report on the ground. As soon as I landed, there was something going on. My plane was late, so I abandoned my luggage. And so I'll tell you all those tales of what happened with my abandoned luggage, my attempts to ask Amy Klobuchar a question. You'll learn it all. I got jostled a lot in the press gaggle. So some good stuff happening here. We're also talking to a lot of sources, trying to figure out what's going on with this app, this tool that they're going to use, trying to figure out if there are going to be some shenanigans like there were in Iowa. And shenanigans, again, as people tell me, is not strong enough of a word, but I like the word, so I'm going to use it. Again, statuscoup.com/join. Do it for me, $5 a month. Do it for Jordan, who's sick. Do it for Jamal, who's behind the camera. Do you want to come on? Do you want to be interviewed? We're live.
Hello. I love you.
Live.
I love what y'all do.
Oh, good.
Shout out to Marcus Ely, part of the Coup. He's great.
Oh, Marcus is wonderful. We love Marcus. You have to move. Okay. What's your name?
My name is Sean Navarro. I'm the co-chair of Las Vegas DSA out here. Our two other co-chairs recently left. They're both moving. One's moving to Reno, one's moving to Seattle. So I'm kind of like the regional manager of socialism, if you will, being the so-called here now.
Is that a Dwight Schrute reference?
Yes, absolutely.
Office fans, you know.
Yeah, 100%, yes.
What did you think of the debate tonight?
I thought it was great. I'm really glad that they're starting to kind of go after each other a little bit. I think politics is about kind of like a baseline definition is about who gets what when. And I feel like it's been a little too nice. We're talking about some serious issues here. There's some serious contrast between candidates. It's time now we start to get into it. So I was kind of glad to see them kind of go after each other a little bit. I feel like if you follow history at all, what happened in 1960, 1980, even 1992, is much more kind of much more intense than we see here. Kind of in the recent history, we've seen it become more tame. And people say, well, we don't want to weaken it up for the Republican, but a Republican is going to dig this up anyway. So I'm glad to see them start to go after each other a little bit.
Well, so you bring up a good point. We have Donald Trump, who's not going to go. He's not going to be treading lightly. So we need a candidate who can go up against Trump. Who do you think that candidate is? I think it's obvious who you'll say.
My boy Tio Bernie, 100%. It's so great. You see Trump talk about Bernie. He has nothing. His whole argument is the Democrats are just like effete liberals, no connection to like real working people. And with Bernie, that just doesn't work at all. He's not fake, like he says. I don't handle BS very well. I think he has literally no argument against Bernie. I think he's called Crazy Bernie. Like that's weak. That's good. Yeah. I think someone like a Mayor Pete, like a Bloomberg, he would just destroy. Elizabeth Warren, I think that they're kind of made to lose to Trump, and I think Bernie he has nothing for.
A lot of people were saying that Elizabeth Warren tonight came out harder against her opponents than she has in the past. What did you think of her performance?
I thought it was okay. I'm kind of a little disappointed with Elizabeth Warren. I was a big fan of her in the past. I think she does some great work. She's very intelligent. I love she has a great personal story. I was a little disappointed to see her kind of waffle Medicare for all. And I think that's kind of, ever since she kind of came out, basically not in favor of Medicare for all, you see her support dwindle. And I think she's kind of trying to recover from that, basically.
Yeah, and I think the media might try to give her a little bit of a bump, and that's what we saw with Bloomberg. So let's pivot to Bloomberg. Thoughts there?
I think Bloomberg is an absolute joke. Makes a sham of our democracy. No one should be able to come in and just buy a candidacy, basically. He was a Republican back in 2004, which is not that long ago. He literally spoke at the RNC convention. Why we're entertaining this man, I do know why, because of money. And I think it's ridiculous. It just shows you the influence of the 1%. The fact that a candidate could run a vanity campaign and just literally set $200, $300 million on fire. It shows you kind of the predicament we're in, and how there's just such an insane accumulation of wealth at the top that they could. He's just wasting $200 million. That's generational money. That's more money that my family or generation of my family will see who work for 100 years and we won't make that. And he's just setting on fire for this vanity campaign.
Well, some people worry, and I have to say I'm a little bit worried about this, less so than I was after seeing his performance tonight, but a little bit worried that it won't matter, that he can just buy the media coverage he needs to recover from this bad debate performance.
I disagree. I think more people see him. I think money has kind of become overrated in politics, especially when you're seeing with the Sanders campaign. If you have money go up against a real grassroots campaign, I think the grassroots is going to win. Like AOC has a great quote, they've got money, we've got people, and money is lonely. I think you see a lot of candidates, Jeb Bush, Joe Biden, these very well-funded candidates not do well at all, because when you have kind of this kind of tepid support with big donors going up against a real grassroots, real fired up base like we're seeing with Bernie, the grassroots is going to win.
So you said that you're a fan of status quo, right? Or you like what we're doing?
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Can you tell people why they should join and become a member?
Join to become a member. This is real media. They're out here doing it. They're out here live talking to the people. Shout out to my man Marcus Ely. He's the best. Check them out. They're great. It's a completely independent, fierce voice in media. You need to support them. Go out, smash that like button, become a member, or whatever you all need to do. Absolutely.
Exactly. Go to statusquo.com/join. Good stuff. Anything you want to leave the audience with? Any last thoughts?
I think we're going to win. I think that when people come together, we cannot be defeated. Join your local DSA if you don't have one. Start one. If you're out there and you're kind of seeing what's happening, you feel alone. You're not alone. You're not even in the minority of thought. Even people that are kind of doing well, we're all kind of in the same boat. There's a real feeling that like things aren't really working for us, for regular people. If you have a job, you're worried about losing it. If you have insurance, you're worried about losing your insurance. I think there's a real sense that something's not right with capitalism, and come join a DSA or get involved in any sort of like local organization. I think together we can win. I think
One more question. What do you think about Bernie's chances on Saturday? Do you think he'll win?
Knock on wood, after 2016, I don't take anything for granted, but I think he's going to win. I think it's going to be a big win. And not just for Bernie, but for people of color, for Latino people. He has such a huge groundswell of support from Latino communities. I'm involved with Muslims for Bernie. And he's building a real coalition of people that politicians have forgotten about and don't usually speak about. So I think you're going to see that come together. It's been months of work, and I think on Saturday you're going to see it all come together.
Thank you so much. Good stuff.
Join Status Coup. Subscribe. They're great.
Thank you so much. Good stuff. You heard the man, guys. Join Status Coup. As low as $5 a month. There are other options as well that get you more stuff. You get behind-the-scenes videos. I was telling you a little bit about my behind-the-scenes experience that I will be posting. I already posted one. I'll be posting more. Jamal will be posting stuff. We're here through Sunday. We're having an interesting time. We had an interesting cab situation earlier. Maybe we'll reveal the crazy cab situation. But for real, it's about the reporting. It's about the truth. It's about getting the word out. It's about real on-the-ground journalism. Statusquo.com/join. If that won't get you, then join because Jordan is sick. Give him some pity. Oh. I have been told to check my phone. 1 second here. I have a message from the man himself. Oh, we have a new member. We have 1,400 people watching. Please, please, please share this stream on your Facebook, your Twitter, everywhere, your Facebook groups. The more you share, the more people see it, the more people join, the more you smash that like button. It takes some teamwork, guys. We're suppressed here. We're a startup. We're growing, so please do your part. We really appreciate you. We love our viewers. Also, Jordan says, important, the end of the debate when asked, only Bernie said the candidates with the most pledged delegates at the convention should win. Everyone else said, let the process play out. Interesting. So, a signal of robbing Bernie at the convention. This has been something that a lot of people have been talking about, is a contested convention, the potential for a contested convention. And the theory goes that certain candidates are staying in to shoot their shot with the hopes that a contested convention could either steal it away from Bernie or benefit themselves, depending on who the candidate is and why they're staying in the race. So, again, the end of the debate, when asked, only Bernie said the candidates with the most pledged delegates at the convention should win. That is very shocking and concerning. I really don't know what to say to that, except for that's not democracy. There are clear motives and clear reasons why people would kind of skirt that question, and that's extremely, extremely concerning. So, you want to? Oh, we have someone else coming on. Hi, you want to come on? I'm Jenn with Status Coup. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Robert Reynolds. I'm the secretary of Stonewall Democratic Club of Southern Nevada.
Oh, wonderful. Very good. What did you think about the debate tonight?
I think it was nice. It was pretty feisty, a lot more substantive than some of the other debates, and it was nice to see the candidates kind of pile on Bloomberg a little bit. I personally enjoyed seeing that.
There was definitely some piling on Bloomberg, and that's something I've talked a lot about with people tonight. Do you think that this will hurt Bloomberg's?
I think it'll help him and it'll hurt him. I think it'll help him maybe in the short run, but in the long run, I think what's happening is we're going to see two very stark differences in Bloomberg, who's the billionaire, and Bernie, who's the anti-billionaire. So if anything, I feel like this Bloomberg coming onto the stage sort of unfairly is going to wake up some of the more moderate Democrats to some of the things that have been going on at the DNC that Bernie people have been complaining about as not being fair. So I've seen a few more centrists come around to our understanding of how we've seen things operate at the establishment level.
What are you finding is the thing that seems to get these more centrist thinkers, centrist voters to come around?
Well, they support different candidates. Obviously, Biden, Klobuchar, Pete, and when they see Bloomberg coming in this late in the game, especially here in Nevada, where he's here in the Nevada debate, but he's not even on our ballot. I think that's pretty offensive to most Nevadans, as if our vote doesn't count. So even the centrists here in the state are saying this is nonsense. I know there was a Biden event last night where there was a few people who called out the DNC in public and said, what's going on? Why is this being allowed? And their answer was essentially, because we can. And that upset a lot of even Biden voters who were saying, well, this sounds a lot like what the Bernie people have been complaining about this whole time. So if anything, I think this is kind of bringing a lot of this out into the light.
Do you think it's part of it is the fact that they're being so much more blatant this time? I mean, we thought it was pretty blatant in 2016, what they were doing, some of these sneaky tactics. This year, things seem different.
Yeah, definitely. They're desperate, obviously. I mean, Bernie wasn't leading last time, so they didn't have to be as desperate. But this time, he's the clear front runner now. So if they're going to try to stop him, they're going to have to pull out all the stops at this point, because none of the establishment candidates they put up front so far have been able to put a dent in him. So Bloomberg is sort of their last hope, and I think it's kind of sad that they're resorting to someone who's much more closely aligned to Trump's sort of beliefs and views than any of the other Democratic candidates to try to save the party.
So in the end, do you think that this will affect Bloomberg's polling, which had been surging? Do you think what goes up must come down?
No, I think unfortunately there's too many people out there who can just be bots. They see enough ads and they just believe what they see, and so I think that really this is going to turn into a two-person race between Bloomberg and Bernie, and I think that will favor Bernie definitely, because it's going to show a stark difference where you're going to now have to choose. Are you for a billionaire who's going to step into the election late and buy the nomination, or are you for the anti-billionaire who's been calling this out for decades? So I actually hope that it helps him, because I think in the end, if this is a debate between Bernie and Bloomberg, that's a debate that Bernie wins hands down every time.
Let's pivot to the caucuses. What do you think is going to happen on Saturday as far as will it go smoothly?
I think that it's, it obviously it's yet to be seen. I don't think it'll be anywhere near the level of the Iowa debacle. I know the Nevada Dems have made a lot of mistakes along the way, but a lot of people have been working at the county level, like the chairwoman here, Clark County Dems, Donna West, has assured a lot of her constituents here that have been complaining about some of the things that have been happening at the state level, that she would see to it, that they would be fixed, and each one of those issues have been fixed and they have been resolved sort of one step at a time. It took a lot of people to speak up and point out these things like the app, being Shadow Inc. being hired by the Nevada Dems, things like that, and then them trying to pass off another iPad app as a tool, things like that. So, it's a combination of people in the streets, activists, Bernie supporters, saying this isn't fair, but also a lot of people working really hard, a lot of volunteers here at the Clark County Democratic level who have been trying to do their best to ensure that this is actually a fair process. So I give a lot of credit to the county here for helping that out.
Thinking back to 2016 with that terrible narrative where Bernie Sanders supporters were supposed to be throwing chairs and John Ralston perpetuated that and then the wider media picked that up. Even if everything goes smoothly and Bernie supporters just, stay in their own lane or whatever as they do you think the media will kind of make something up? And we know that was made up. We have video evidence that no chairs were thrown.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the culinary attacks. It's the Bernie bros are attacking the culinary union members and the leadership. But at the end of the day, we don't know who's attacking who online. We already know that Trump supporters blocked up the Iowa phone lines and deliberately wanted to make it look like it was being rigged so the Bernie people would get upset, and they're deliberately trying to cause divisions. So I don't think it would be out of character for their operatives to be attacking culinary member unions or the culinary union on behalf of supposed Bernie supporters. There's no evidence to actually show that this is happening wholesale. Every single candidate has a faction of their believers who are a little more radical, a little more hardcore, and a little more aggressive on the internet. That's just the nature of things. And I think the Bernie people have been definitely mislabeled. When I'm out here working with the majority of people that are doing work for Bernie people, there's very few Bernie bros, as they call them. There's women of color, there's LGBTQ members, there's such a diverse coalition out there. I probably come across 1 out of 20 people could be considered a Bernie bro or someone who's aggressive. So I look forward to that narrative dying down as time goes, because I don't think it holds much weight.
Any last thoughts you want to leave the audience with?
I just think that we need to let our voice be heard and get out there and vote for the candidate that you want. And if you see anything that's not, up to par, if you don't feel like something's being done fairly at your precinct, then please report it. Please call in to the county hotline, to the state Nevada Dem hotline, or to your own campaign's hotline, no matter what candidate you support. We want a fair election here in Nevada, and that's what matters.
Great. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, guys, that was so great. We have spoken to so many wonderful people. We'll keep on going. It's 9:03 here. That means what? It's midnight back on the East Coast. So Jamal and I are tired, but we will keep on going. And I have an announcement. We have another new member, which means we are 152 members away from 1,500. Guys, I need to let you in on a secret here. Listen closely. We need to get to 1,500 members if you guys want Jordan to be able to report on the ground in South Carolina. We have a big, important goal. That's to get to 1,500 members. We are just 152 members away. So if you are sitting on that fence, if you're thinking, oh, $5 won't make a difference, or my single membership won't make a difference, it does, I promise you. There are, I don't know how many people watching right now, but if 152 of you join right now, there we go. There we have it. Sign your dog up, sign your cat up. All you need is another email address. So if you're already a member, sign some people up. It's good stuff. Keep on going. In all seriousness, you are the reason why we are reporting on the grounds. We love you guys so much. This is important stuff. You don't see this anywhere else. CNN's not here. MSNBC's not here. They're up in their ivory tower somewhere. We certainly were not invited into tonight's NBC debate. We were not sitting next to Chuck Todd, that's for sure. We are here with the people. We are sweating with the people. We are trying to get into multiple cabs unsuccessfully to get to this event for the people. Jamal's laughing behind the camera. We have a real story to tell you, and we will tell you, members, so join us. statuscoup.com/join. Do it right now. Please, please, please. I'm not beyond begging, for sure. So, yeah, Jordan's... If I'm looking at my phone, it's because Jordan's texting me updates and things like that. Let's talk a little bit about this poll that came out this morning. So we have the ABC poll that came out. Bernie Sanders, this is a national poll, keep in mind. Bernie Sanders at 33%, Biden at 15%, Bloomberg at 15%, Warren at 13%. Hold on, Jordan texted again, so I lost it. Pete at 9%. So the important things to note here, Bernie at 33%, that's plus 11. He jumped 11 points in this national poll. Guess who did not jump any points? And in fact, plummeted in points. That would be Mr. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. He is minus 19 points. Minus 19 points, putting him at 15%. Bloomberg has gone up. We'll see what happens after the debate, but he is matching Biden right now at 15%. Warren again at 13%, Pete at 9%. Oh, I just saw another new member sign up come in, so I'll get back to this poll. But I want to say welcome to, I'm sorry if I mispronounce it, Sadanya. Welcome, Sadanya. We love you. Thank you so much for joining. It means so, so much. Keep on joining, guys. statuscoup.com/join. Let's get back to this poll. So the Bernie surge is real, and this is important because the media is trying to paint this. You know, people joke saying, oh, Bernie is surging. Bernie's at the top. This must be real bad for his campaign. And I kid you not, there was a tweet 2 days ago, I think it was, where some Politico reporter, I think her name was Carla, I can't remember her last name, but this Politico reporter tweeted, there's such a long, there's so much traffic coming out of this Bernie Sanders event. This is a bad look for Clark County and for Bernie Sanders. Like, you're literally blaming Bernie Sanders for the traffic. Jamal's laughing behind the camera again. You're blaming Bernie Sanders for the traffic. That's how low we have sunk. Like, you can't say, oh, he's not doing well. He's not going to win. Nobody knows who he is. The stuff that they would have said in 2016. Or he's wild, he's a socialist, his ideas are nuts. You can't say that anymore because his ideas are mainstream. Medicare for All has 70% support across party lines. So let's also talk about his black support. Bernie is rising. So everyone always says, you know, Biden is the candidate who gets the black support. 1 second here. Sorry, juggling lots of things. So Biden is at 31%. Bernie is at 28%. Bloomberg is at 15%, which is wild. Why? Stop and frisk everyone. He also told a woman, and I don't have the quote right in front of me, that she needed a nanny. So he said something like, just get some black to look at it. You just have to make sure someone can get it out in case of a fire. Why would anyone support this guy? It doesn't make any sense. He's a bad, bad guy. And that's why I have said all along, I have said all along, I will vote for any Democrat against Donald Trump. And that's until Bloomberg happened. I will not vote for Michael Bloomberg. I won't vote for Donald Trump, but I certainly will also not vote for Bloomberg. So let's talk about this. Biden's support among black voters has decreased by 20 points. Bernie support has increased by 13 points. So I think what people are seeing, and excuse my sweat, it's okay, we're working hard here. It's hot, it's really hot inside, it's really cold outside. But we're seeing that people of all colors are seeing what Bernie is doing for the people. Bernie is for the people. Bernie is for black voters. Bernie is for Latino voters, and he's doing extremely well in Nevada among Latino voters. Bernie is for white voters. Bernie is for poor voters. Bernie is for every voter, except maybe the billionaires. He's not really for the billionaire voters, right? But it's kind of it gives people who care about democracy, who want to defeat the oligarchy, it gives a sense of happiness, honestly, which is hard to find in this political landscape, that's for sure. But it's looking good. The truth is winning out, it looks like. We're going to keep up with everything that's happening, but it's good stuff. Please smash that like button, share the stream. We're going to interview more people. Let's see if I can grab someone. Oh, Tina's over there. Does she want to come on? Hey, I'm Jen. What's your name?
Fiorella.
And you work with Tina, I take it?
Yeah, I have my show called The Convo Couch, and I also work with Tina. We're here together to cover the campaign.
The Convo Couch, of course. So I've seen you around Twitter.
Yes, I'm always there. I'm pretty vicious, so.
So nice to meet you in person. So, okay, what are your takeaways from the debate tonight?
Okay, so my takeaways are that the establishment doesn't really have any other cards right now. They really are getting old with the whole, how is Bernie going to pay for Medicare for all? Let's look at Bernie Sanders' medical record. They have nothing else to go from there. And with Bloomberg, everybody coalescing to attack him just kind of felt like it was planned in a way. It kind of felt like they were doing it to make themselves look good. But at the end of the day, when you notice at the very end of the debate, they asked if they would kind of rally behind the popular candidate, the candidate of the people, and they were all like iffy about it. And so to me, that tells me that they're willing to go to a contested convention, that they're going to do whatever it takes to stop Bernie Sanders from getting the nomination. And it wasn't any more clear ever as it has been today to me as to that this whole thing is basically billionaires like Bloomberg and then Buttigieg, who said he would take his money, but who also talks about transparency, yet as many people might know, he accepted $600,000 in ads for ads that were going to benefit him in Nevada through a super PAC, which is illegal. He has continuously spoken about black endorsements he doesn't have. Then there's the Shadow app in Iowa. The guy loves to talk about transparency, but yet he doesn't follow it. So to me, it just seems very clear this election is definitely like this and not like this. Okay, the election is top versus the 99%, not left versus right. And I think after today, Bloomberg has kind of outed himself as that guy that is so terrible that nobody is really, the way he talks about America, it's like he's talking about a corporation, which is what we are. But at the same time, if we're trying to change the system, we don't need somebody to wrangle another corporation again.
You kind of hinted along there at the possibility of a contested convention. What do you think might happen, and who do you think wants a contested convention?
I mean, I think all of them want a contested convention. If we're looking at the Stop Sanders movement that has been in play for over a year now, and even before that, you're looking at Buttigieg doing really well in Iowa, doing really well in New Hampshire, probably going to do well in Nevada, and then you're going to see people like Elizabeth Warren maybe take Massachusetts, maybe take some of the Midwest, and then you're going to see Joe Biden maybe pull enough delegates in the South. And then all of these people are going to have some delegates, and they're going to have enough delegates to combine them and go against Bernie Sanders. I think it's everybody against Bernie at this point. There was a point where I thought maybe Elizabeth Warren would have done something and would have kind of united with Bernie Sanders, but time and time again, she has attacked him and his supporters also in ways that, in my opinion, aren't fair. And so I genuinely feel like she's going to fall in line with the establishment. And Yang dropped out. Nobody else is really viable right now. I would have liked to see Tulsi Gabbard maybe be there and be a support, but I don't really see her being viable at this point necessarily. Maybe that'll change, but I really see right now this is a three-way race between Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and Pete Buttigieg and Michael Bloomberg. Joe Biden's even on the down low. Elizabeth Warren is pretty much almost, to me, kind of flailing. But the few delegates they get, and this is why every delegate was so important in Iowa, really are going to matter when it comes down to the contested convention. And then, of course, if we bring in the super delegates. So,
yeah, of course. You mentioned the attacks on Bernie Sanders supporters, and disappointingly to a lot of people, Elizabeth Warren kind of fed into that. Not kind of, she did. She fed into that for sure. The media really, really fueled that. Does it matter? Does it seem to matter what Bernie Sanders supporters do, what Bernie Sanders does when it comes to the media?
No, it doesn't. I feel like genuinely, Bernie Sanders has tried to be above the fray. He has taken the high road, but time and time again, no matter what he does or how good he is, they still attack him and his supporters. They still talk about the word socialism as if it's the plague. They still act like what he is doing is dividing the party when he continuously talks about voting for the nominee, to the very dismay of many of his supporters. And then they focus on very, very few of his supporters who might be angry, but they don't focus on why they're angry. And it's a form of gaslighting time and time again. And in my opinion, Bernie has almost in a way gone too much into caring about what these people think. I think a lot of us want him to take a stronger stance and be like, look, you don't need to worry about those people, because at the end of the day, if they are any blue will do, they're going to vote for the Democrat. And if they're not, they're going to vote for a woman. If they're for Warren, they might go to Klobuchar. If they're for Klobuchar, they might go to Warren. But they're not necessarily, he doesn't gain much by kind of placating to them. He gains a lot more by looking at independence, looking at his own base, and kind of going from there. And so that's why I was glad that he actually, during the CNN town hall, spoke out against the Bernie bro narrative, where he did defend Nina Turner, he did defend Brianna Joy Gray, and he did defend a lot of the 99% of his supporters who are really there in good faith and who are pretty much gaslighted, and how no other campaign essentially really talks about holding their own supporters accountable. It's always on the Bernie Sanders supporters. So,
right, absolutely. Okay, so we saw what happened in Iowa. What are your thoughts on what's coming on Saturday? Will the caucuses here in Nevada go okay, or are we up for some bad surprises?
I genuinely feel like we are up for some bad surprises, just based on the connections with Pete Buttigieg, having with some of the Nevada party, with some of the connections he had relating to the super PACs here that were generating ads for him, and also with the way the Nevada Democratic Party has been in 2016 as well. We recall the whole chair scenario, and just the animosity, and also the three people they had to pick to vote, the ranked choice voting that a lot of the campaign didn't even know about, and it was kind of a last minute thing. And I just genuinely feel that we can't be too careful. Even if it goes well, we need to be prepared. We need to have every, speaking as a Bernie Sanders supporter, if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, make sure that every precinct has a precinct captain. Make sure that there are tons of observers there to look. I was in Iowa, and I was in precinct 80 when Tina and I left after they were done. The lady waited till we left, then decided she was going to do a coin toss. Well, we got that delegate back because we told the campaign about it. We completely acted on it. But that's why we need need journalists like yourself and also observers there to make sure that these caucuses go well, because it can be very confusing. And I feel like caucuses are kind of archaic. I think they're fun and they're cool to watch, but I feel like if you don't say the exact rules, people will leave, there'll be confusion. And so generally, I think we're still going to see a lot of confusion, not only in Nevada, but also in California, which is my main focus right now. There are a lot of issues and inconsistencies with what the Secretary of State is reporting versus what the poll workers are being told versus what is being reported in the media. So,
absolutely, really great stuff. Tell people where they can find you, how your socials.
So I am Fiorella_I am on Twitter. You can find me at the Convo Couch YouTube, also the Convo Couch Twitter. And yeah, we'll be here also with these guys covering the caucuses and the rest of the election. So thank you very much.
So great to meet you. Thanks for coming on. Very good stuff. Hi. 1 second. Smash that like button. No, you can come on. I'm just reminding the audience of what to do because we're live. So smash that like button. Join. You are not seeing this kind of content anywhere else. Go to statuscoup.com/join. Welcome new members. Peter, Vance, Jeff, and Jose. We love you guys. Love you, love you, love you for real. Join us, guys. Keep the memberships coming. statuscoup.com/join. And I promise you, I will tell you why it took Jamal and I 4 cabs to come 6 minutes to this event. Okay. Again, I'm Jen. What's your name?
Jason.
So nice to meet you, Jason. Tell us your thoughts about the debate.
Well, I'm a Bernie supporter, but I have qualification for it. I feel like he was actually coming with the most prescient and poignant points in that debate. In any political debate, a lot of people are saying a lot of things, but I really feel like he was speaking to the audience.
Absolutely. So tell us, what was your very favorite or most poignant or most impactful moment of the night?
I actually liked the last part of it, the last question, where they were talking about the system as it works now versus the popular opinion. And Bernie, as usual, sided with popular opinion. And I feel like that is the mood of the moment. That's what people want to hear, is that their voice matters. And while everybody was speaking to the process and trust the process, he was saying, basically, if this is the will of the people, maybe the process needs a little bit of reevaluation.
Makes a lot of sense. Tell us, what is your role around Bernie? Volunteer, staffer, campaign, what are you, supporter?
So I'm a supporter and a volunteer. I work, but I'm trying to lend my skill set to the movement, as I've seen so many people that are local, from out of state, out of country even, that feel the mood of the moment and feel how important this is. Literally the global implications of this. I feel it personally. I grew up in Canada, so to me it's what Bernie is proposing. Even back in 2016, I was much more involved. It's something that's not just relevant and possible, it's personal. It's a reality. It's not theoretical. In the American discourse, in the conversation here, it's theoretical. It's things that we could work towards. For me, it's reality. It's what I grew up with, and I feel it's like what all of my compatriots, all of the people here, really, we should have that too.
Absolutely wonderful. What do you expect to happen on Saturday? Do you think that it will go smoothly? Will there be shenanigans?
I assume shenanigans, but I feel like I said, the mood of the moment, I feel like this message is resonating on a very core human level. And what I've been hearing about turnout, I literally just voted for the first time in my life 2 days ago. And it was
in the brand new early voting process.
Yes. And of course, we've been interacting with a lot of people who feel very closely connected to this vote. Like this has a very significant. This is significant. It's different than any other time. We're at this like tipping point. We've reached a critical mass where people feel certain things that have probably not existed before. This is an opportunity as well where people want to exercise and they want to believe that their voice matters. And that's what I'm hearing too. I've heard it from many people in different sectors, different walks of life, that finally they found somebody that's actually giving voice, and not really even giving a voice, but giving a megaphone to their voice. And that's a real code switch. So, shenanigans aside, I think the raw numbers are going to dictate what happens.
Well, the energy in this room tonight was certainly vibrant and excited, and it was even hard to see the debate at certain points, but people were still into it. People were still cheering. You can kind of feel that everyone's coming together. I hear people talking about they're going to canvass, they're going to keep text banking and phone banking for Bernie. What are your thoughts on the narrative? So contrasting that with the media narrative that Bernie supporters are these mean, nasty people, what are your thoughts?
So even from 2016, when I was more actively engaged, I feel that's a good way to tell a story, but that story doesn't really reflect the reality. The reality is these are a lot of people that deal with a lot of things in their life that are hard to deal with. So they feel very strongly, but this is how they are funneling those emotions, that energy in a positive format. This is the way in which we're working with the system to change the system for betterment of our own condition. That narrative is what it is, and it serves a purpose, but I don't believe it's in lockstep with the reality. The reality is what happened here was a lot of people that felt very strongly and felt very hopeful. And that is the mood of the moment. We're seeing a lot of people that see the potential to better ourselves. That doesn't work with that whole Bernie bro narrative where people are just animus, they're hostile, they're violent. No, that's not the reality of the crowd. Anybody that came out to actually interact with us, you would see we're actually committed to a very deep love of our fellow citizens and our own personal condition, the condition of our families, the conditions of our neighbors, the conditions of our community, our society, and our nation as a whole. And I'm saying this as a person who recently became a U.S. citizen. I found like the deepest levels of patriotism amongst this community. They really do want the best for their fellow citizens.
What was that like for you, having recently become a U.S. citizen and getting to vote for the first time for a candidate that you care so passionately about?
It was profound. Like, it was actually one of the most important moments in my life, because what we were doing, myself and another person who's volunteering, we were taking a 96-year-old World War II veteran who's from a marginalized community to do his patriotic duty. He's telling us his life story, nothing but love in his heart, a heart of gold, and him saying that he doesn't hate anybody. He doesn't even hate Trump. But he listened to Bernie and he likes what he's saying. He believes he's a good man. And I got to vote for the first time in my life beside this man who's lived like 3 lifetimes in one. It's profound. It's profound. Like it was like a spiritual experience.
Wonderful. Any thoughts you want to leave the audience with? About Saturday, about anything?
Don't worry too much. Just do what you know in your heart is best. Think about the people around you. Think outside of your own sense of need, and if you can, this might be the one way in which you can fight for somebody that you don't know.
Thank you so much. Really, really nice stuff. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Oh, we have another one. Come on in. I'm going to update the audience real quick, and then I'll grab you on.
Is this live?
It is live. Yes, we're live. All right, guys, remember, join, smash that like button, go to statuscoup.com/join. Definitely, oh yes, text COUP to 474747. Text Coup to 474747 so you get notified, so you get text alerts when we're live, when there's breaking news, when anything happens. Also go to statuscoup.com and join our email list. Okay, now that you've done your homework, don't think of it as homework. Think of it as spreading true journalism. And remember, join. We have a goal to reach. If we want Jordan to be able to go to South Carolina, we need, I don't know how many members we are away right now. I believe we are probably 145, Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, away from reaching 1,500 members, statuscoup.com/join. Okay, thank you for sitting through my spiel. My name is Jen. What's your name?
Sam.
Sam, so what did you think about tonight's debate?
I mean, it was an absolute mess. And still somehow through that, Bernie shone. Bernie did incredibly. I mean, he was the clear winner, and he stood up for people. He said it best that in a system that privileges establishment politicians and the superdelegates, the people who already have power, we should let the will of the people prevail. He said that that change does not come from the top down, it comes from the bottom up, and that's what this movement is all about. And he just kept expressing that through being in touch with the actual concerns of working Americans.
Who, in your opinion, did not do a good job tonight? Had a really bad night?
Mike Bloomberg.
That's what I'm hearing, yeah, over and over.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really say anything. He's just incredibly uninspiring, not to mention just how terrible his track record is. Thought his performance was pretty awful. Pete, as always, speaking in platitudes, also not really saying much of anything, but he has a way of doing it very eloquently, whereas Mike Bloomberg, not so much.
One of the comments that Pete Buttigieg made surprised me. It probably shouldn't have surprised me, but it was something like, if you don't want the revolution and you don't want the status quo, come find me in the middle. That was sort of the gist of it. What do you think he's thinking with these platitudes?
I have no idea. I mean,
I guess there's no real answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, they confuse me. I can see how, like, maybe someone like my dad might, like, think, oh, that's cool. Like, I want a little bit of change. But they're not willing to take a look at the root causes of inequality and suffering in this country and actually address those, and so instead have resorted to a lack of commitment to substantial change.
What I find so interesting is that when it comes down to policy, when people are presented with something like Medicare for All and it's presented in a certain way, they are for it across party lines. So how can progressives maybe do a better job or a more effective job of spreading things like Medicare for All as part of Bernie's message, as part of his policy pack?
Storytelling, which is what this movement is about. It's about people coming, showing up, and telling their stories of what brought them to the movement, what brought them to support Bernie, Medicare for All, a Green New Deal, etc. A debate isn't a great forum for it, but I think when you can put a human face to the suffering caused by a healthcare system that puts profit over people, a lot more people begin to see that we need a universal healthcare system.
Absolutely. So what are your thoughts on what's going to happen Saturday? Are we going to see a smooth ride? Is it going to all go according to plan, according to the NV Dems plan?
I have no idea. I just got to Las Vegas less than a week ago to volunteer, and the polls look good. I know Nevada is notoriously hard to poll. I haven't heard the updates on what they'll be using in terms of counting. I know it was at one point the app, which I'm concerned about. Caucuses are an inaccessible voting system, and I'm hoping for the best, but I don't have any illusions.
That's what I'm hearing over and over. They say they're no longer going to be using the app, that instead they're going to be using a tool preloaded onto iPads, so whatever that means. Sorry about that. So nobody seems to know, though. They aren't really communicating information with the campaigns like they should be, according to news reports, things like that. So a lot of people are worried, are concerned for sure. But I see a lot of people like you who, you're not dismissing the concerns, but you're fighting anyway. You're going out there and volunteering still. What would you say to people who are feeling discouraged right now?
Yeah, the cards are stacked against us. There are a lot of people who want our campaign and our movement to fail, and that just needs to motivate us to fight even harder. We know that we have to do our damn best to come out with a clear majority of delegates. We can do it. We just need to knock the most doors, have the most conversations, and we have the capacity to do it because we have the most support. We have the most diverse base, the broadest coalition, and the most passionate base that is willing to take what little time they have to go out and talk to other people about why we support Bernie and why we are fighting for the kinds of changes that we need to see in this country.
Very good. Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you. Really good stuff. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have some news from Jordan. The Bernie Sanders campaign reports they pulled in $2.7 million from 150,000 donors today. Their best debate day fundraising haul of the campaign. Once again, the Bernie Sanders campaign reports they pulled in $2.7 million from 150,000 donors today. Their best debate day fundraising haul of the campaign. Wow. And also, making sure I don't have any more info from Jordan, we are at 1,354 members. Guys, we are getting so close. We are trying so hard to get to 1,500 members. We are almost there. I just know that we're going to do it by the end of Nevada, but you could make it happen today. Get off that fence and head on over, statuscoup.com/join. Don't say, oh, hey, I'll do it tomorrow. It'll be fine. I'll do it tomorrow. Just do it now. Mostly because you get really cool stuff and you fund us in the field. You fund real reporting. CNN isn't here. I'll say it again. MSNBC isn't here. Chuck Todd is not here. Chuck Todd, God knows what fancy hotel he's in right now after his time up on the debate stage. So please fund real reporting. We are here reporting the truth for you. You've heard from other independent media tonight. These are the real people on the ground. You've heard from volunteers. You've heard from people who are working their tails off to fight for the policies and the candidate that they believe in. That is so inspiring. We want to be on the ground in South Carolina. We want to be on the ground in California. We want to send Jordan there. Jordan's sick right now. That's why I'm here in Nevada. Jamal and I are hitting the ground running. We are all over the place already. As soon as we landed, we started reporting. We are going to keep going. We are going to cover absolutely everything that happens here through caucus day. Whatever happens, we will be there. Please support this reporting. statuscoup.com/join. If you're already a member or want to give another form of support, you can go to paypal.me/statuscoup. You can also donate via our GoFundMe. Or if you want to talk about other ways of support, you can email us at info@statuscoup.com. Please also remember to text COUP to 474747 so you can get notified the next time we are live. Okay, we've talked to some really great people tonight. Jamal, do you want to say a few words? All right, here comes Jamal before we wrap up here.
Hey viewers, hey Status Coup. Just want to say that we're out here in Las Vegas having a very great time. Bring the news to you, but it's time to clock out. What stays in Vegas? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. All right.
All right, guys, we had such a great time tonight. We are tired. I think it's almost 1 o'clock Eastern time, which is where we live normally. So we are going to wrap up here. We're going to go to sleep, but we are not going to be sleeping for long. I'm going to wake up. I've got some sources to call. I've met a lot of sources here. Some people who are sending me some information that we all need to know. One more time, statuscoup.com/join. I love you all. Peace out.